Hey y'all, I'm back again today. I'm sharing a book project, a lace book that I made for a dear friend of mine. It is going to be mailed out, and when she gets it, I will post this so that y'all can have a look at it too. This is a lace book of little girls. I'm going to let her name it when she gets it, and she'll be able to call it whatever she wants. But just a real quick run through of what I did here. It's a rather large book. I used my felt made base for the book. I have a previous video that shows that, so if you want to check that out you can. And then this is an oval shape, and the dimensions of it are on there too. This is not the largest of the ones I've ever made. This is probably the medium sized one. And top to bottom here, about 8 inches. So, and then of course it like doubles in size once you start adding everything to it. Anyway, this one is made with all of the neutral tones, natural creams, ivories, whites. The darkest ones are coffee dyed, and then a lot of bling added to it to make it really stand out. There are a lot of new laces all the way back to antique laces. This one down here at the bottom, for example, is an antique lace that I've added just to the front here, on top of a gorgeous piece of very old Battenberg that I found on a tablecloth that was falling apart. So salvaged some good parts of it to use as well. Blinged it up here and there. I hope y'all can catch that. It's an Aurora Borealis, the AB rhinestones that I've added here and there to catch the light. Ruffles and trims. Some of my favorite trims right here. I love it that it's that shiny, sheeny cream color. I go to it a lot. Some coffee dyed pieces here and here, and around the binding of it, on the back of it, are some flowers that I've made, and then tucked in some little rosebuds here and there. And it's the same fabric here that I used to cover it, here and here. And then some really pretty braid just around the edging of it. The whole thing from here around to the front side here is a doily piece that I cut up and opened up to make the edging all the way around the front and back of the book. So also added a little piece of it down here just to keep within the same thing on the top and bottom. You can see it's pretty full of lots of droopy, gorgeous laces and trims. And as I said, some are old, some are new. And let's have a look. I tied it together with a silk doubled ribbon that is attached to the front and the back with just a simple loop. I did not knot it. It can come right out just by pulling on that loop. And here's the first few pages of it. I had a piece of costume jewelry of pearls that had it was a neck piece, and it had fallen apart at one end. There were some pieces that were falling off, but I cut it and I used it on this edge of the photo of this image of this pretty little girl, just to draw the eyes up to this part of the page. Lots of layers of different laces, new Battenberg right there, old tablecloth, pieces that I have coffee dyed, and then other edgings here and there. In fact, this edging right here is an older piece. Some trims through here, and don't know what to call that, organdy maybe, y'all. Chiffon, I don't know what this is, but just some little flowers I made out of a rather stiff feeling fabric. And I don't know where I got that. I can't remember, sorry. A little button down here. Some of the trims that I've used, I tied into a little bow, a little finger bow. Added a few pieces of rhinestone across the top of it. I have a beautiful piece of velvet ribbon. I looped it at the top, ran it behind it, crossing each other behind the picture, and have it coming out here. It was like the perfect shade. And I wanted to add something real pretty in here. This little piece of eyelet material, it has like little heart shapes on it. And so I scrunched it up and put it back behind the photo. And it made the daintiest of little edgings around here. I have a netted piece of material with little almost cottony feel dots all over it. It's kind of like a Swiss dot on a net. It's older material. I found it in a big lace haul. It's folded up at the bottom of a garbage bag of lace, yes. I think I did videos on that haul if y'all want to go check that out. But just some beautiful laces surrounding the photo. The flower with 3 mother of pearl look buttons. I don't believe those are vintage though. But they do have a beautiful look to them. Added a little tiny rhinestone to that. And just, this is a little straight piece of lace that I added on the top down here as a swag to come down. This piece I believe I coffee dyed. I love that I can tone it to a color that I want to use, and yet it keeps that sheen, that beautiful sheen to it. I love that look. Next page, these pretty little babies. See if I can get my hand back up here. Little pieces of eyelet drooping off of here. Some pretty little edges of some type of binding. Whenever I see anything that is interesting and that I think will go around a photo, I'll get it. And I have lots of different trims that I've picked up. Anytime I see thin braid, for example this piece right in here, I'll pick those up. This isn't a perfect color to go with my little books here. Ruffles and laces, again, just lots of those things added together on top of a piece of doily. And it's just as simple as that. Just keep adding. The bling really does draw the eye up. And then I've added a little bit down here too. This little piece of lace is I'll say vintage, but I do believe it's antique. It's very delicate and very, very different. In the middle of each of these little flowers, I added a tiny rhinestone. And then I folded up a little doily piece down here on top of another piece of doily on top of another piece of doily. So I've got a little piece of curtain even down here to droop down. This side, some more of those, I'm going to guess that's chiffon. I just cannot tell. They do turn out some beautiful little flowers though. These are just some pearl tone buttons all around the picture. A beautiful piece of bling. Love that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. This is an antique lace right here. Beautiful little swath just right down the side here. Touches of vintage lace right in here too. These are older. These are part of that lace haul that I did a video on months ago. Just beautiful pieces. I just let them swag right over the newer stuff. Old trumps new, I guess. So, and then just some edges around the little photos. Beautiful photos. I wish I knew who took these. I wish I knew who to give credit to for these. I got them off of Pinterest. Y'all have probably seen every one of these photos on Pinterest 100 times. I know I have. But there is nobody to give credit to But if you are that person, please PM me and let me know. I'd be happy to give you credit for it. Believe me. Love to talk to you. You've got some beautiful images. These, this one I happen to have a little string of pearl bugle bead looking shaped things. Not bugle, but I don't even know what to call those. Little rice beads maybe. Put that around there, and that makes it look totally different than just a little piece of cording or edging. Lace, ruffle, eyelet, lace, braids, crocheted doilies that I've cut the edges off of and used around here. This I've also added buttons to it around here. This is some lovely wedding dress silk, and I made these roses out of the silk of a wedding dress. Some more lace. This particular piece of lace I want to say is vintage. Do not quote me on that. The reason I say so is because of these rhinestones. They're glass rhinestones that are already riveted to the flowers of the lace, and it came this way on a little bolt. So I have a little bit of that in my stash, and I wanted to use that drape down on top of little doilies and a piece of a wedding dress right here. I've used this before in my bridal bouquet book. I used a lot of the wedding dress veil pieces on that. On this side I have a little girl with her hands under her cheek. Y'all remember these little pictures when we had to put our hands under our chin or on our cheek, and we're, you know, if you were of my era, you had at least one of those pictures of yourself with your hands placed like that. So that was one part of our heritage, I guess, that actually goes back a lot further than us. Anyway, I used some more. This is a gorgeous little ruffle, and I'm not sure what to call that fabric. It's way in the recesses of my brain. I've heard what the name of it is, but I can't come up with it right now. If y'all know it, write it down below for me so that I can add it to this video. Some of y'all are going to know what that's called, and it's really sweet stuff. It has a lot of detail to it too. This piece that I used around the very edge of the page, I'm going to try to let y'all see what that looks like. This is a beaded amber beads on bows, and the bows were each one of them glued to like a collar, but it was coming apart, so I redid the whole thing, re-glued everything together on it, and now it's the edging to this whole page. And I wanted it to be kind of left where you could see those beads. And because it was a collar, it had a ribbon attached to it. There's one ribbon from one side of the collar, and it tied to this ribbon on this side of the collar. So I brought the ribbon over, made a little bow, and glued it down so that it could become part of and stay part of the page, because it belongs to that. Another little piece of pretty lace hanging off, and more down here. Just pretty little pieces layered on top of each other. Some more of that wedding dress piece down here on top of a piece of the silk from the wedding dress, and then I adhered these little pieces of trim to the bottom of that. And then the last two pages, these happen to be one of my favorite pair of pages. I love working this shape. I don't know really, I know I did it on a book I made a few months ago, and I was just cutting excess part of the picture I didn't want away, and that's kind of what I came up with. So now I keep going back to it, and I really like the way it turns out. I love the shape, and it's very easy to decorate because it's just two pieces basically of trim on a contour, And so again, I've used those little rice bead pearls, added some fringe on this one, another little bit of that heart-shaped eyelet around here, a couple of wedding dress, maybe not a satin, I don't know what to call this. It's not a silk, I don't think either, but anyway, one of the old wedding dress pieces that I got, I just made some flowers out of it, put some vintage buttons on it, went down with lots of the different trims down this page of laces that I've cut up and added to it, and little pieces here and there, and then doilies and swags underneath that. And the last page is similar picture image cut, added a little heart down here. I think I got that from Tresors Deluxe, I'm pretty sure I did. Some mother of pearl buttons. This was a shoe clip and I added the pearl to it. Pretty little button, or sorry, doily back here, and this is a pocket page. Right back behind the photo is the pocket. Lots of little doily pieces around the edges of the photo, and then coming down the page, layer on layer, some of those gorgeous pieces I got in that big huge lace haul, and I added one of the pretty pieces of lace here on top of a doily, on top of a doily, on top of a piece of curtain, if I'm not mistaken, for the back. And then lots of doily edges around the edge. And there's the back of the book again. So anyway, that is for my friend. I'm going to be sending that out to her later this week. And when she gets it, I will upload the video. So I'll be saving this. I've got some photos of it too. I'll put on my blog. If y'all are interested in seeing more, stick around because I've got another one to show you too. I hope you liked it. Take care.